auf Deutsch.
Say it in German with Dr. Juliana Jordan.
Guten Abend, meine Damen und Herren. Wir bringen Ihnen Sag's auf Deutsch. Say it in German. Ich hoffe, Sie haben fleißig in Ihrem Buch gelesen. Ich hoffe, Sie haben alle Wörter auswendig gelernt. Ich weiß, Sie sind immer sehr fleißig. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our program, Sag's auf Deutsch. Say it in German. Naturally, I hope that you have studied, and I hope you read in your new book, and I'm sure you have learned all these words we had last time. But tonight, we are not going to study. So please, put your book away, sit comfortable in your living room, and enjoy the program we have prepared for you. The whole thing started really last Tuesday. Last Tuesday morning in chapel, we had a very interesting program. That morning, there was presented in our Annie Pfeiffer Chapel, Florida Southern College, a bust of the great Frank Lloyd Wright. The bust was presented by the famous sculptor, Dr. Boris Blai, in honor to Dr. Ludd M. Spivey, President Emeritus after 32 years of serving Florida Southern College as president. It was a very exciting morning. And since you could not be with us, we are very happy to present to you tonight the two distinguished gentlemen. Dr. Ludd M. Spivey, President, and Dr. Boris Blai, Dean Emeritus of the Fine School of Arts, Temple University, Philadelphia.
How do you do?
Good evening, Dr. Blai. Good evening, Dr. Spivey.
Good evening, Dr. Jordan.
We are so happy to have you here tonight because I'm sure that our listeners would like to hear the story of Florida Southern College and Frank Lloyd Wright. So first of all, Dr. Spivey, when did you get the idea to get Frank Lloyd Wright to build you a college?
Well, I think it was in 1935. I was over in Geneva, Switzerland, and I saw a famous monument there to Protestantism. And this monument suggested to me to return home as quick as possible and do something extraordinary here in America. And when I came back, I consulted various architects, but I couldn't find anybody who would do something exciting. So I kept reading about this famous man, Frank Lloyd Wright. As you know, he's been on the front pages of paper for about 50 or 60 years. And I decided that I'd go up to Taliesin and see him. And by the way, I only had $200, and after I got on the plane, I found out that I had lost the $200.
Oh. And still you proceeded to see Frank Lloyd Wright.
I proceeded to see him and found him in the dining room. So he asked me to sit down and eat with him. And I told him this story, that I wanted to do something very extraordinary. Well, he wasn't enthusiastic about it because, as you know, he never does anything. He never did do anything in the way of architecture unless he carried on a lot of research. But he said, I'll come down. But I told him that I didn't have any money. Well, I didn't know at the time he didn't have any more money than I did. At that particular time, he was incorporated by 14 businessmen to prevent him from starving to death, because these were awful times financially. But he came down to the college, and he stayed for 3 days. He went out in the campus, let the sand go through his hands. He had me drive them all over the country to see the various parts of Lakeland and the county. And finally, at the end of 3 days, they said, I'll do it. And I said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. If I get any money, I'll give you some of it. And so we worked on that agreement for 20 years.
Oh, wonderful. Maybe he was sympathetic because he was in a similar situation at that time. So it was most fortunate, I think. How did you meet Frank Lloyd Wright, Dr. Blai?
Well, I met him way before in the Modern Museum. Then really we became friends when Dr. Spivey invited me to deliver a commencement speech and Frank Lloyd Wright was there. And we became chums, that going up to this, the chapel was already built. And from that time on, we were connected with many work together. He was building in Philadelphia. I got him over there to do it. Then he suggested if I would like to model his head, I should come to Phoenix, Arizona. I went immediately there, and we spent 6 weeks in his wife. And he said, well, after breakfast each day, he's going to pose about an hour. No, he didn't. After breakfast, it was 2 hours. Then we went for lunch. In another 2 hours, we went for supper, and he posed about 6 hours a day, every day for 5 weeks. And finally, he came to Philadelphia to finish it with me. And then I decided for a long time that this ad, I mean, we had a lot of fun, discussions in that is incorporated his architectural ideas. It's going out from somewhere with all his triangles and squares and movements, all of that thing together. So then I decided this was someday going to be in Lakeland College in honor of Dr. Spivey. I came up here a month ago and I told them that I will give him the ad. And then the storm began on the Jersey coast. My house and everything was washed away. In other sculpture, a lot of commissions was washed away. And this head was standing on the sand in the middle of the street with about 350 houses completely destroyed into the ocean. And that head was standing there looking up. And the press, the Philadelphia newspapers, got it on the front page. The only thing I said, that even when he's dead, he's making the front page anywhere.
Certainly not.
So like he's supervising everything there.
Yes.
And finally I called the state police. Well, nobody was allowed on the island. They get me that ad. Well, I was afraid if this would someday, if this is lost, I will be considered here by the college not promising something that I couldn't deliver. As soon as I got this thing, I tried, it was wiped off from the sand. I put a new patina and packed it and came up here to give it. And I called Dr. Spivey. I said, well, you're going to come over here? And he said, yes, anytime you want me over here. So there we are.
I think that was the most wonderful thing to do, isn't it? Now, Dr. Spivey, it wasn't easy, was it, at the beginning to get this building built? What was the first building you did?
The chapel.
The chapel.
But I still didn't have a penny.
How did you start then?
Well, I took the students out and we dug a hole for the basement. In the meantime, I heard of a very famous woman in New York who had some money. So I got on the train and went up there, and I called her and asked her if I could come out to see her. Said, no, I'm coming downtown to the Prince George Hotel on 5th Avenue, and why don't you have lunch with me? And then I told her about this thing that I was trying to do, but I didn't tell her it was designed by Mr. Wright, because I didn't know her background. But I told her it was going to be a chapel.
Yes.
Well, after a while of talking for a long time, I said, how could I give the money? I don't even know your name, and I never heard of your college. Well, I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go back home and I'll write you a letter on the stationery and sign it. And yes, and it said, if you do, I'll send you $100,000 to complete the chapel.
Oh, how marvelous. And she really did?
She really did.
Now, do you know that what Frank Lloyd Wright considers the Florida Southern College? He calls it his sketch. It's pencil sketch. So it's his own creation in where he lives. In a pencil sketch by a great master is more important than the finished product.
Oh, certainly.
Well, everybody's looking for Michelangelo's. And one day I said to him, you know that I consider you the today, the American Michelangelo. He said, Michelangelo, I'm bigger than Michelangelo.
That's Frank Lloyd Wright.
That's right.
Yes.
No, he was proud. He was proud. He was kidding.
Yes.
He was proud to be considered that he is the only American artist who are be copied all over the world, particularly in Europe. I could go from the modern building to modern and show the steps with the corner window. And I kept on talking about it, how I was breaking up that flat, that block, and what his principles used to be. And when he said that this is my pencil sketch, certainly he was able to finish it, and the college would have a couple more $1 million to get good craftsmen instead of the students to work on it. That would be, and I still think that new church here in St. Petersburg is a lot of forms were stolen from that.
Oh, certainly Frank Lloyd Wright had many people who imitated or followed him.
Some
I think
with
so.
taste and some don't know how to use it.
That's right.
Now I think from 100 years from now, that college will be the shrine of American architecture.
I'm very sure about that, because certainly we are the only college in the world that has 9 buildings designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. That's really unique in the whole world. And the many visitors we have show really that people are very interested in. But tell me, Dr. Spivey, what happened then after the chapel was built? How did you get on with the other buildings?
Well, I wanted to build a library. So I called a friend of mine over the long distance, and I told him I wanted him to come over to see me. And he came over and said, what would you want? I said, I'm going to erect a library in your honor. He said, where are you going to get the money? I said, I have no idea, but I'm going to build it in your honor just the same. Well, I don't need to tell you that he furnished all the money. So it's now Mr. E.T. Rue's library.
Yes. And how did you come to happen then, how did it happen to get this beautiful administration building?
Well, that happened in the same way. I knew a man, and I told him I liked him so much that I wanted to do something in his honor. And,
isn't that nice? It's a very good way to get it. Yes, very nice. But was it always a smoothly procedure?
No.
Was not always easy, was it?
Not always easy.
I think so, yes,
well,
because...
I think when you meet a person who really believes in it, I don't care what it is. When I met Dr. Spivey, I believed. And I remember in my house, he said to me, why do you like me so much? I said, the first time I met him, and he stayed overnight, trying to get me over to the college. Yeah. And I was tempted to drop, I started the College of Fine Arts, the Voice College in Temple, and I couldn't drop him. Otherwise, I would drop everything and be with him all these years.
Oh, yes.
And so there you are, there I am now, and I'm still coming to visit. I feel it's a part of my home.
Oh, that's wonderful. And the bust will be, for the time being, in the library we were just talking about. Now, as I remember, you told me sometimes there were very lean years in between. How did you manage to keep up the faculty and the students and the school going? Well,
to tell you the truth, way back in 1927, 28, we all taught for nothing. And
who fed them?
Oftentimes we were hungry.
Who provided food and
well, the students didn't have any money, so their mothers and fathers would send us chickens to pay their tuition. Yeah. And I'd give the faculty some of the chickens. We lived from that way.
Well, I missed that time. I'm sorry, I missed out on that.
You'll be interested to know that I drove with my own mortal hands twice around the earth for 25 years, going to every town in Florida to see if I could find some money.
What was the response in general of people in regard to Frank Lloyd Wright architecture and your very, very great plans you had?
Well, most of them were enthusiastic, but several people came from, of my friends came from the north, Philadelphia, and they asked me not to do it because they thought I was making a great mistake.
Oh, yeah?
And there are some people who still think I made a mistake.
Oh, no, really?
No, well, I think that's true. You see that I met this woman here in this church, and she said to me that the chapel doesn't give her any thrill. Well, it's not, they have no carpet and they have this. And I said to her, I hope in 100 years from now you'll come back and you will understand what that chapel builds your church.
Yes.
The architect would never have the idea to dare to do what he was doing if not Frank Lloyd Wright doing this chapel.
Oh, and
I explained him the impression I had when Dr. Spivey invited me to speak there, and I went and I raised my head. It was a sermon, something, a religious thing, and I raised my hand, there were flowers in the sky, and I just changed and I kept on talking, so somebody had to stop me and say, that's not enough, stop it now. I couldn't stop
really?
to talk there.
Yes. Oh, that's very exciting, yes. And in Europe, you know, they appreciate Frank Lloyd Wright very much. I saw in Italy an exhibit of his drawings and pictures, and people were most excited about it. And the European architects, I think, have copied quite a bit of Frank Lloyd Wright.
The German great architect Mendelssohn,
yes,
he was a good friend of Frank Lloyd Wright. I met Mrs. Mendelssohn in his studio in Phoenix, Arizona. He died, and he was one of the greatest German architects. And he considered Frank Lloyd Wright the genius of our time.
Well, certainly. Did Frank Lloyd Wright come back frequently to see how the work was proceeding?
Every year at least.
Every year?
I think I was asked at least 1,000 times how I managed to get along with him. And
yes.
We never had one single misunderstanding.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
We worked together.
Well, because you were excited about the same project, and you knew what
I remember a few years ago when he had an exhibition of that big skyscraper in Chicago. Dr. Spivey was the main speaker there, and he said to the people, there was a crowd there, and he said, you know why we never had a fight? I never contradicted him.
Well, that was certainly a good way to get along with him. I think so, very much so. Was Frank Lloyd Wright also interested in the surroundings for his buildings, for instance, the plants and the gardening and that? How did that work out on campus?
Of course, he not only would like to arrange the garden or the shrubbery, but he'd like to arrange the chairs, and would like to arrange for the kind of people who are going to sit in the chairs too.
Yes, well, we can't always do that, I'm afraid.
The most beautiful thing was when he used to come up with his cane, I watched him, and just like a leader, like an orchestra leader, sing with his passages, will go from one building to another. You remember? To stay there in the center and design that right in the air.
I remember him that way when he came to campus in 1952, I think it was. He came, and I saw him in this flowing cape he had and the cane, and majestically looking, and sometimes arrogant in his way, but that was just himself. You told this morning, on Tuesday morning, a story that was very interesting about him when he said about himself something. Would you tell us?
Oh yes, he was standing there near one of the columns, and he looked in that thing and I said, are you giving yourself a criticism? He said, oh yes, I'll do it all the time. Then he said, who told you to ask me that question?
Very good, yes. Which was the next building, Dr. Spivey, you erected after library and administration building?
Well, of course, there's some small buildings, but the main building is the science building.
That's the newest one.
That's the newest one.
I remember the year in 51 when I came to Florida Southern, the arts building, the industrial arts building was just finished or in the process of being finished.
And you might be interested to know that Mr. Wright told me before he died that was likely the finest building he ever created.
Yes.
The arts building.
Yes, he told me that.
Yes, oh, I can see that, yes. It's one of the largest buildings next to the science building with I think is now the largest building on campus, with the beautiful planetarium at the end. Did you enjoy seeing our new science building?
Yes, well, everything. It's now such an environment that you walk in there, you don't want to go home. I feel like putting a bed there right in the middle between them and just stay there.
That's true.
And that's the true thing. It's not, I feel that if I would be a student, I would be the happiest person to spend my best 4 years of my life right there.
I think most of our students are. They are excited about it. Sometimes at the beginning it seems they might reject it. It works so hard on them. It does something to them. And then suddenly they grow into it and they love it.
It's a new environment.
Yes.
They take them away entirely from the city or Philadelphia or New York, or even today I met a girl from the Barnegat city and it's a funny thing. Here, that girl was raised and born there. And I just put a statue of General Meade next to the lighthouse, and she never saw it. Now here, while she was raised in an environment that's no use looking on sculpture, any work of art, here she said, now I'm going to go back and will appreciate what she said.
True. That's
well,
true.
the environment, the building has so much design. They're all walking around. You design by walking. Looks like somebody, a dancer. If I would be a dancer, I would dance all over there.
You know, and the college is very well known in Europe by many people. I just saw recently a magazine of architecture, and it had pictures of our college in it, a German magazine. And sometimes I wonder, here in our own country, many people don't remember that this is really the only place with a multitude of buildings by Frank Lloyd Wright, and not just one here and there as he constructed.
That's right.
And so I think slowly they will find out.
Philadelphia knows.
Philadelphia
We had a lot of his exhibitions. Mostly was the college exhibited all the buildings in big reproductions. And then he built there the first time in his life. They came to him to design a synagogue inside of this world, and he redesigned the Mount Sinai. He actually brought it to the middle of the city, the Mount Sinai over there. It's fantastic, and it has a lot of the spirit. I mean, this college gave him a lot of material for other things to do. And that's why I consider him the greatest genius living of our time.
How does it feel, Dr. Spivey, now, if you look back 32 years? The dream came true, didn't it?
Yes.
Because when you started out, you were not sure that it would work out. How does it feel to see it now, really in stone?
Well, I enjoy seeing it, and I'm pleased with the way it's going on, too. And the campus is beautiful.
Yes.
And I enjoy coming back and seeing the students.
Oh, I think we all are very eager to keep it as beautiful as it is, and even try to improve things we can do in the gardens, you know, and do the flowers.
I'm going to make a promise to come and visit every year.
Oh, that's
long
wonderful.
I'm alive.
That's wonderful. Yes.
I want to tell you a little bit about Mr. Wright was not only an artist, but he was a showman.
Yes.
And I remember going to the theater in New York with him, along with Mrs. Wright.
Yeah.
I didn't know it, but she knew what's going to happen. So we waited on the outside. And Mr. Wright would, as you said, take this big coat of his and throw it back with his hat on. At the proper time, he'd march down to he'd have everybody look at him as he went in. Then Mrs. Wright and I would come in.
You know, you made an interesting statement on Tuesday morning saying that Frank Lloyd Wright was two persons, really.
Yes. In his home, you couldn't imagine how nice and gentle he was. But to the public, though, he was a showman.
Yes, he knew how to.
They expected him.
Yes,
they all expected him. They always kept on asking questions wherever I met him in the Modern Museum. And right away, the whole crowd. They kept on asking questions, and he turned to them and said, "No, I don't feel like answering. What are you going to do about it?" And then later he came up on the stage and delivered the most magnificent talk on architecture. Nobody asked him, well, just he felt that way.
Do you think that sometimes the way he rejected certain people and was bitter maybe about some things had to do also with his experiences in life? It was not always easy for him.
Oh, no,
He had a very difficult life.
Yes, I
the
think
architect of America was jealous, and they were trying to block him any place, and he had a great struggle, and he wouldn't give up. He was able to commercialize himself. He just make as much money as anybody else, and quicker too, with his personality and his capability. No, he wouldn't do it. Architecture was his religion.
Yes. So that might account for many incidents where people might blame him and say, oh, he's only arrogant or so, because they didn't know him really as a human being.
Yeah.
Have you been out in Taliesin and Phoenix in his houses?
Many times. I've spent many weekends in both places.
Is it right that he worked with students mainly there?
Yes, these students did all the work. They were the servants. They cooked the meals, scrubbed the floors, farmed the farm.
But they were probably happy to do that.
Yeah, every afternoon, they all gathered around him and worked with him in his beautiful shop.
I remember a Chinese couple. Remember Shafong and her husband? Did you meet these lovely people?
They came by to see me.
Oh, how nice. And they worked with Frank Lloyd Wright for quite a while, and they enjoyed it very much. They told many interesting things about their
Some of his students are with him for over 25 years. And they were running. They were just actually the superiors. And the rest would, after they build all his buildings, they were doing all his work. That's why he calls it that all this design was made by not by craftsmen, just by people who don't know how to put a nail, he used to say. But this is the pencil sketch. That's exactly what he considers this college. It's the foundation of his creation. And from there, these people will possibly go out to do something very big.
Yes, oh, I'm sure
We hope
they will.
so.
Yes, I think so.
A man like this should have really 3 lives. One life to learn, all life, he takes a lifetime to learn, then another lifetime to work, and another lifetime to enjoy his work.
Don't we all need that? I think that's a good rule for life in general. It definitely is. Were you surprised that he was so willing to pose after he had started?
Many sculptors asked him, begged him, the painters was Ryan Franklin Watkins was begged him to pose, but he wouldn't, and I was flattered. I was very flattered. And I felt that this head belongs into the college
Oh, it is a beautiful bust, and we are most grateful that we can have it, and we're very honored that Dr. Spivey was presented with it. Thank you so much, Dr. Spivey and Dr. Blai, for being with us.
It's a joy to be with you.
It was delightful, and I'm sure that our listeners have enjoyed this visit to hear something about the personality of Frank Lloyd Wright by 2 gentlemen who knew him closely, personally. Would you be so kind to sign our guest book?
Yes.
Und auf Wiedersehen in German. Auf Wiedersehen. I hope all of you have enjoyed the conversation with these 2 distinguished gentlemen. It is very exciting to hear about the life of a great architect. It is very exciting to hear about a dream that a man had and that came true. Auf Wiedersehen. Deutsch.
Say it in German with Dr. Juliana Jordan, Tuesdays and Thursdays on